Hello, welcome to Scrap Time episode 686. My name is Christine and on today's episode I'm going to be showing you the FlipPal. Today I am showing you the FlipPal. This is a scanner. You turn it on, there's a little button on the side. I'm just going to press it on and then you'll see the screen will come on. When you open this up, this is where the scanning takes place. So I have this photo that was taken with a film camera a while back before digital. And so that's one of the great things about the scanner is you can take your old photos, it can be any photo you want, and you can scan it to make a digital copy of it. So now you can share that photo again on the internet or you can print it, whatever you want. So all you do is you take your photo. Up here we have a little triangle, that's where we want to put it in. You close the lid, and then here we have our screen. Now, if I press this, it gives you the choice of a 300 dpi or a 600 dpi. I've been doing 300, and you get between a 1.6 to a 2.5 megabyte photo, which is a fair size. So I'm going to go back to our main screen. There's a green button on the side here. That's what we press. So I'm going to press the button and then you're going to see the photo appear on the screen. And we're done. It's that easy. The FlipPal comes with, I'm going to turn off the screen just to show you, it comes with a 2 gigabyte SD card. So I can just now go put this into my computer, the scans will show up, and I now have photos that I can print on a photo printer or take to a printer. So if you were having a family get-together, everybody could bring their old photos, you can scan them all, and then give everybody their own SD card with all the photos. So it's a great technology with any of those old full photos. You would also scan newspaper articles, whatever you have. Now the great thing about this is that this lid comes right off. It just pops off. So now, as I mentioned, the newspaper articles, if it was a big paper, you can put it down and you can take various scans, and then in your photo editing, you can stitch it together. But what I like to do is to do textures. So I have this dress here of Gemma's, and there's so many different knitted textures on here. And I wanted to scan this texture here. I'm going to turn my scanner back on. So now I can lay it down any way I want. If I wanted the texture to go this way, if I wanted the texture to go this way, whatever I want. And through this window I can see exactly what is going to be scanned. I press that green button. And simply like that, I now have a scan of that fabric. So what do I do with that scan now? Well, I've taken my card, I put it into my computer, and now I can print them out. So here are some prints of some different fabrics I've done. I can print them large, 2 times. It all depends on what your printer is. Now I have a black and white laser printer. These are laser prints, which for our next step is important to know. But if you had a color printer, like an inkjet or anything, you can scan different materials or wallpaper or whatever you want, and then you could print it out in color, and you'd have these great little pattern papers you can add to your projects. But I'm going to show you how to do a transfer technique using these scans. So when you do your printouts on a laser copy or a toner based, like even a photocopy, you can use these to do image transfers in your art journals or on your projects. So here are 3 that I did. For this one, I had used a gesso as my base. So it was a white gesso, so you see white through there. And you can see the different textures on the paper. But then here, I had already had this colorful background, and I used multi-medium, which is clear, to do this transfer. And you can see how the colors from the background come through. So I'm going to show you how to do this type of transfer today. So I am using Claudine's Multimedia Matte Gel, and I have my transfers. So I'm going to use this one that I had scanned that I showed you. So I'm just going to cut it out. I'm going to show you though, here I did a square, but I'm going to show you a way where you don't necessarily need to get a square. So I'm using my brush. This is one of Claudine's Studio brushes. They're really inexpensive. You get a pack for very little money. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to paint on, not in a square, just more randomly, that multi-medium. I want to make sure it's nice and wet for my transfer. And then I'm going to put this on here. And you want to make sure it's nice and flat. And now the next step is to make sure that it is dry. So you can either let it sit or you can use a heat gun, but you have to make sure that that multi-medium is completely dry to finish this transfer. So my multi-medium should be dry now. I used the heat gun to dry it off. I'm going to just cut off this excess paper here. Don't need that. So what you're going to do now is get a spray bottle and spray your paper so it's really wet and soaked. And now we're going to, this was the one that wasn't glued down there, but we're going to release that backing, and what will happen is the toner print is going to stick into the multi-medium. So the more wet you can get this, the better, because you have to peel off all this, the pulp of the paper. And obviously, depending what size transfer you're doing is how long it will take. Let's just use my paper towel to wipe off some of that. You can see the little texture showing through there. Now I was using sort of a white on white sort of print. It didn't have a lot of contrast. The more contrast your texture you have, the more it will show through. So this is a very subtle texture here I'm using. But you can still see the little knit things there. Now what I like to do at this point is I'm going to hit it with my heat gun again, and we're going to see where there's still a layer of that paper. So I'm just going to quickly hit it with a heat gun. So So when you dry it, you see how, oh, there's still a layer of that paper there. So this, and then you're going to work. And now there's a fine line. You have to be careful because you can rub off your design. If you rub it too much, that design and that print can come off. So when you are happy with the outcome, what Claudine taught me when I was at Ranger was you use the multi-medium again, but this time in the gloss. And this is about the only time I personally use the gloss multi-medium. And all you want to do is take a bit with your finger and rub it over top. And this will seal your print into your project. Now, if you don't want to buy a big bottle of this, I think, but I'm not 100% sure, that the multi-mediums now come in those little smaller stickle size bottles. So we can look into that. But you just seal it in, and you can see that little texture coming through. As I said earlier, it wasn't a big contrast textured piece, so it's just nice subtle texture that you could add to your projects. And I was able to get all these textures again using my Flip Pal. So that's another way you can use your Flip Pal for your projects.